relate to this. Hey, Deron.
If you want to hear Carmen speak, you have to bring her onto the stage.
Okay, and how do you bring her onto the stage? Let me see.
Is it giving you the option to make me a moderator?
Hold on. Yes, I just did it. Okay. Oh, great. So you can do all that. Okay. So I'm gonna see if a few more people come in, but I'm also live streaming right now. I think it's on live now on my YouTube. I mean, not YouTube, on Facebook. So I'm just gonna probably start give it around 2 more minutes. Then I just start reading because I know that I'm live streaming to my YouTube page. Hey, Facebook. Oh, look, I see you on there. Hold on, let me bring you on. Hold on. I know. Hold on. Okay, now let me tell y'all, and all my friends on Facebook and stuff, do not get grossed out when I get to the sex parts. I'm not that person. Welcome to everyone that's in already. I'm going to go ahead and start reading. I'm reading Jamaican Me Go Crazy. This is part 1. Part 2 will be dropping on Saturday, January the 9th, this year at 7 o'clock p.m. on Facebook. It'll be hosted by Zane and also Victoria Christopher Murray. So what I'm doing is I'm reading part 1. I'm going to read the first 2 chapters of part 1. Also, if you would like a free copy, when I start reading, I'm going to stop at chapter 2. Might go on to chapter 3 because it really gets juicy in chapter 3. And I think I'm going to read chapter 3 too. If you would like a free copy, just email bookkeishastar@gmail.com and I'll send you a free copy. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start off. So chapter 1, behind every strong man, there's a strong woman. Okay. I've always known I was cut from a different cloth. I mean, it was just so obvious in the way I walk, talk, shit, even in the way I ate my food. My whole demeanor was unique, and I always felt it down in my bones. I was different, and I was at peace with that. I'm a feisty 23-year-old hottie with a golden caramel complexion. I have thick, long black hair that falls to the center of my back, and yes, it's homegrown, not salon sewn. My nose looked like a tiny little button, and people are always raving. Oh my God, hold on. Trying to turn off. I need to put my phone in that mode. How you put it in the mode where they can't call you? Do not repeat. Do not disturb. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Got it. Sorry, you guys. My eyes are my secret weapon, however. Light brown, slightly chinky with long, captivating lashes. I have some Korean features inherited from my grandmother on my father's side. My breast sits on my chest like 2 fresh California grapefruit, and my ass is as plump as a Georgia peach. You can blame my self-confidence on the way I was raised, but if you ask me, my hometown is responsible for my swagger. I'm from Baltimore, Murderland, home of The Wire, where you can come to my city, you can either walk away with a warm smile or you can lay cold dead in the mean streets. Before I go any further, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jamaica Johnson, but my friends call me JJ for short. And no, I was not born in Jamaica, although my mother was. She migrated to America 3 years before I was born. I guess they could take the woman out of the island, but they couldn't take the island out of the woman. Because when I was born, the only name that came to mind was Jamaica. As a young girl, I spent most of my time running up and down the streets of Baylor Avenue, which is one of the best neighborhoods in the world to me. The entire Park Heights community was the shit, despite the crime, drugs, and poverty. For entertainment, all I had to do was step off my porch and Lucille Park was right there. Drugs transactions, shootouts, gang wars, prostitution, you name it, and it was going down in the park, and I loved it. Growing up in the hood wasn't difficult. My parents provided us with the best, and we always had more than everyone else. Our house stood out from everyone else's on the block. We had a closed-in front porch and a back porch, a vegetable garden, and a huge swimming pool with a wooden deck around it. So yes, I lived up the heights, but my parents set trends that most people couldn't keep up with. And for that reason, we were always respected. My parents couldn't take a shit without people gossiping about it, especially my daddy. Every nigga tried to be in his inner circle, every bitch tried to fuck him. And everyone's motives were the same. They were all looking for a come up. To me, he's Delroy Johnson. To everyone else around the way, he's Lucky, the owner of 5 Mercedes-Benz dealerships in the DMV area. Delroy is extremely handsome, keeps his body in top-notch shape, and on top of being a dapper ass street nigga, he's also filthy rich. All the bitches, young, old, and in between, threw themselves at him, not giving two fucks about his wedding band. My dad's a high roller, and no, he's no longer in the streets, just in case you were speculating. Years ago, before we moved from the Park Heights community, my father was the neighborhood kingpin. He had the entire district on lock, from Park Circle straight back to Jewtown. However, he was careful about staying low-key, and he used his best friend Milk as the front man. There were always packages coming in and out of our house. For years, I thought my father worked at a warehouse and was packaging goods for a tree company until I got old enough to know the difference between weed and tree leaves. They damn sure smelled differently. My mother tried to protect me from the game. She always came up with clever excuses when I would ask questions about why we couldn't have company in our basement or why she kept money in the wall instead of the bank. The more she tried to hide the truth, the more curious I became. I learned a lot about the drug game, not so much from my father, but from my mother. It was instilled in me at a young age that money was everything and obtaining illegal money was okay as long as you didn't get caught. My mother was a pro. She carried that shit like a true Jamaican Bella Mafia. Murray was born and raised in a notorious neighborhood in Kingston, Jamaica called Jungle. Many things that couldn't take place in America were being overlooked in Jamaica, and my mother wanted a better life. She realized very young that she was beautiful and her body could be used as an asset. At 16, my mother was already fucking older men and taking their money. She wasn't out shopping and splurging on designer handbags and materialistic bullshit like some of her friends. She used her money she received from her sugar daddies to pay bills while putting cash aside so she can one day open up her own salon. I guess you could say my mother was a responsible hoe, getting by just fine until the condom popped and she ended up pregnant by somebody's husband. That's when reality hit her real hard. The baby daddy made it no attempt to man up, which was obvious when he handed her some abortion money and told her to get lost. Murray didn't believe in abortions, but she knew that she would have a problem being a 16-year-old single mother. So against her will and belief, she laid on the abortion table, bawling her eyes out as the doctors suctioned her fetus and dignity out of her body. From that day forward, my mother was never the same. She knew she desperately needed to change her lifestyle, but felt that Jamaica was holding her back. So she formulated a plan. After busting her ass in school, my mother received an academic scholarship to attend college in the United States under student visa. She worked her way through college where she met my father at a frat party. Right from the start, they attract like magnets and fell deeply in love. After 6 months of dating, they married. She put it on his ass, I guess. 1 year later, my mother filed and was granted citizenship. Not much long after that, I was born, followed by my sister, Rochelle. When my parents met, my father was already doing a little hustling to make ends meet. My mother convinced him, however, to go all the way, kingpin style. She masterminded a plan that outlined how long they were going to hustle, who they were going to hustle and do business with, and how they were going to clean up their dirty money. My father gets all the credit, but my mother was the brains behind all that shit. Murray dealt with the out-of-town state connect transactions while my father regulated the local streets. She would take me on trips with her sometimes. I guess she thought I wasn't old enough to understand what was going on. What my mother didn't know was that she was creating a monster. I studied her moves and mind how she shifted from my tender mother into a gangster bitch in 2.3 seconds. Murray would pack my suitcase and tell me we were going to visit my grandmother in Texas. I was a little confused because my father's mother was dead and my other grandmother lived in Jamaica. Shit, until I was 10, I actually thought children could have more than 2 sets of grandparents. Remember, baby, if anybody asks where you going, you say to see my grandmother and you tell them how much you love and miss her, okay? My mother coached. When we arrived, I never saw this infamous grandmother. We would check into a fancy hotel, order tons of snacks. Later that night, my mother would take out my new doll and rip it open. That's when I realized money was stuffed inside of the doll's stomach. The next day, after making a deal with some scary Mexican dudes, we would go to the movies or to an amusement park, then fly back home. These little trips was always fun and exciting. My parents did their thing for years, but around the time I would turn 16, things made a change. One night, my sister, my mother, and I were home, and a knock came to the door. I answered it and saw that it was my father's friend Milk. Milk and my father had been best friends since middle school, so they were more like brothers. He was also my godfather and spoiled me with money every time he came around. Who's at the door? My mother screamed from upstairs. It's Uncle Milk, I answered as I opened the door to let him in. It's hard to explain, but once I opened the door and saw the look on his face, a funny feeling came over me. Hey, baby girl, who's home with you? He asked as he looked around the house with his hands tucked in his coat pocket. Rochelle's in the other room watching TV, Daddy's in Chicago, and Mommy's upstairs cleaning up. So, your father isn't here? He asked while looking in every direction. No. I walked back into the room with Rochelle and said, but you could go upstairs to talk to Mommy. I sat back on the couch and watched music videos. Less than 5 minutes later, I heard my mother along with some unfamiliar voices carrying on a conversation in the living room. I paid no attention until my mother walked into the room with a man pointing a gun behind her back. I would have blood clot Taguan, my mother screamed. Where's the fucking money? The man asked with the gun still pointed at her. I don't have no money. I don't know what you're talking about, my mother cried out. Please, my kids. I don't want them seeing this shit. Can you please just leave because I do not know where my husband keeps his money? Bitch, I know you're lying because Milk said you and Lucky had a shipment come in last night. So hand over the drugs or the cash, she demanded. How many times do I have to tell you? I don't have a clue where Lucky puts the money or the product. I don't handle that shit. I'm here taking care of my kids. That's my job. Lucky handles all of that. I swear to you, my mother pleaded. Before she could say another word, the man slapped her across the face. His hit was so powerful it knocked her to the ground. That's when I lost it. Don't put your hands on my fucking mother, I screamed as I charged the guy and began punching away at his face. He blocked all my hits until he pushed me down beside her. You better sit your ass down before I pop your little ass since you want to act grown. He then lustfully zoomed in on my young body with his perverted looking eyes. I got something for you if you think you're grown with that fat ass of yours. I like them young, so don't fuck with me, little girl. If you over 10, I will stick it in. He burst out laughing and high-fived his friends. Just as he approached me, Uncle Milk walked in the room carrying a bag filled with my parents' jewelry. Leave the kids out of this shit and focus on the money. That's my fucking goddaughter. So no one, and I mean absolutely no one, touch her. He walked over to my mother and said, Murray, you know I love the both you and Delroy, but I know you guys been hustling behind my back and cutting me out of major deals, he said, explaining his motives for running up in our house. I didn't even know about the shipment that was coming in last night. I heard it through the grapevine, which in my eyes is disloyal. We supposed to be fucking family, and you think you could cut me out of deals? Just give me the shipment or hand over the money, and I'll leave you alone. Splat. My mother spit directly in his face. Fuck you, Milk. I can't believe you're doing this. We're family, for God's sake. You have men, and I'm a blood clot also point gun pumping pitting to them and threatening to fuck my daughter. You better blood clot kill me right now. You're gone too far now. Milk wiped the spit from his face. You know you just fucked up, right? Men are no a blood clot thing, my mother replied. She showed no weakness. The tension in that room soared from 0 to 1 million, and then Milk and my mother began debating about who was shadier. As they argued, another man walked in. He was ugly as sin, blacker than tar, and had a deep scar that stretched from his right earlobe to the tip of his lip. He looked like the devil himself. All along, I thought Milk was in charge, but it was apparent that he was working for this guy because he started calling all the shots. Look, I'm going to be late for my daughter's recital. If she don't give up the money, then pop her ass and let's go. I'm not leaving empty-handed. It's either the drugs, the money, or blood. He walked back through the door, continuing to give orders. Hurry up, man. I need to get to this recital for my wife. My daughter's playing the Virgin Mary, and I want to get early so I can get a good seat. You know how them church folks be. What? Here he was ordering his flunkies to hurry up and murder my mother so he can get a good seat in church. It was apparent he had no regards for human life, and I knew right then that my mother was as dead as Elvis Presley if I didn't do something. This is your last warning, Mari. Give me the fucking money or the work, Milk said. Fuck you, Milk. Like I said, you better kill me right now. Milk looked deeply into my mother's eyes to see if she was serious. She didn't flinch. She didn't beg for her life. She just stood there, giving him the "it is what it is" look. This pushed Milk to his boiling point. You know what? Kill this bitch, he ordered. The child molester, who wanted to fuck me earlier, happily pointed the gun to my mother's temple and cocked it back. You a stubborn bitch. Too bad you're about to be a dead stubborn bitch. Kid, say goodbye to your motherfucking mama. I almost had a heart attack. I knew where my parents kept a bulk of their money. So I jumped in. No, don't shoot. I take you to the money. Just please don't hurt my mother, I begged. Little girl, you have 1 minute to show us the cash, or all y'all did. The guy promised, with his gun still pointed at my mother's head. Follow me, I insist. I began walking up the stairs with the men and my mother following closely behind me. The sound of their tennis shoes behind me made my stomach nauseous. Jamaica, stay out of this, my mother demanded. Don't show them anything. I always respect my mother, but this time I ignored her. She repeatedly told me to be quiet and became furious that I disobeyed her, but I didn't care. They were going to kill her, and I had to do something to stop them. I took the men into my parents' bedroom and opened the closet. It's money behind there, but you have to break it open. Milk knew the ins and outs of our house, so he went to the garage to get my father's tools. He returned with a hammer and power tools and handed them to the other guys. They banged and drilled through the walls. They banged and drilled and ripped through the walls. Just as I promised, the money was there, stashed right there. All right, we got something here, one man announced as he pulled out the bag. They opened it and saw stacks of Benjamins and became excited. Jackpot! This is what the fuck I'm talking about, he added as he removed the bags of my parents' money from the wall. That night, niggas left our house with over $700,000 in cash and $50,000 worth of jewelry, but most importantly, they didn't leave without life. That's all that mattered to me. Come on, we have to get the fuck out of here right now, my mother yelled once the men left. Don't stop for anything. She grabbed my sister Rochelle and me and damn near yanked us out the door with no shoes or jacket. We jumped into the car and drove directly to my mother's friend Penny's house. We rushed through the door and she immediately called my father. My mother was crying hysterically, but what I remembered the most was she wasn't crying because some niggas was just about to murk her ass. She was boo-hooing all because her money and jewelry was gone. All our fucking savings down the drain. They would have never found that fucking money had Jamaica not showed them. I understand she was trying to help, but I kept telling her to sit down and shut up. Them weak ass niggas was all bark and no bite. They weren't going to do shit, especially Milk punk ass. I didn't know what my father was saying on the other end, but there was a period of silence where my mother kept shaking her legs and banging the table. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I thought I was the hero, but I guess I was the fuck up who ruined everything. My father sat on the phone with my mother for hours, giving her specific instructions. I couldn't hear everything they said, but I remember overhearing my mother say, we definitely have to move because I don't feel safe in that house no more. That's when my spirit dropped. I was not about to move from the heights, robbery and all. That was my home, and I wasn't about to make some niggas run me away from my friends. My father stayed away from Baltimore, and we had to lay low at Penny's house for a couple of months. Life changed drastically. My mother didn't have access to thousands of dollars anymore, so we had to make do with whatever my father sent. The very tight budget drove her insane. She was miserable all the time and didn't hide the fact that I wasn't her favorite person in the world. One night, as I was getting ready for bed, I overheard my mother on the phone talking to my father. So Milk is taken care of, right? Good. I hope his soul rots in hell. We put that nigga on and he thought he was entitled to half of everything, like he was the one taking trips and risks and shit. He didn't even know how to bag up when we brought him under our wings. But this nigga hollering, we're doing business behind his back and he wants his share. Well, he got his share. I hope he enjoyed the last days with it. My heart sank a little because I knew what that meant. And even though Milk did us dirty, it still felt weird to hear that he was dead. My parents continued their conversation. And as time passed, my mother's tone and overall mood became happier than it had been in months. After she hung up, she danced around the room shouting, "Hallelujah, glory, glory." "What's going on?" I asked as I walked into the room to see my mother with the biggest Ronald McDonald smile on her face. You would have thought that she won the damn lottery, or better yet, that her money was still hidden behind the wall in her closet. "Your father just called. We're moving to Harford County. We're going to be a family again." "Yes, God," she belted. "Harford County? Where the fuck is Harford County?" I was thinking to myself in disbelief. Where is that? Is that we're not going back to Park Heights? What about my school? What about my friends? What about my Isha? I can't leave my best friend. Trust me, sweetheart. This move is for the better. The school system is better and the neighborhoods are safer. This will be an excellent place to raise my family. Besides, my Isha can come and visit anytime. We were moving away from Park Heights. That meant I had to start my life completely over. That meant I had to leave my best friend. I didn't want to move, but understood why we had to. My mother wasted no time packing. And just like that, the next morning we shipped out to Harford County to meet up with my father. I was so happy to see him. I couldn't remember a time in my life when my father was absent. So for him to lay low for months felt weird. I ran into his arms like I hadn't seen him in a million years. We ended up staying in an extravagant hotel for a couple of months until the day of settlement on our new house. We moved into a spacious 6-bedroom house that resembled a mini mansion. We had a built-in movie theater and an indoor swimming pool. We had our own cook and even a lady who came to clean out and wash our dirty clothes every week. We were living it up, but my spirits was down. I loved our new home, and yes, it had everything built to our desire, but my heart belonged to Park Heights. My parents weren't idiots. Although I only knew about the money that was stashed behind the wall, they had money hidden elsewhere. Once we moved up in the world, my mother decided it was time to wash their dirty money. So my father opened a small used car dealership, Lucky's Cars. After 2 years, his business did so well, he moved up to selling used Mercedes-Benz. And then from there, his business grew so fast. He got various banks to loan him money as if he needed it to open up his first Benz dealership. He became so successful that along with his dealership, he purchased my mother her own beauty salon, Unique Hair and Feet. From that point, my father became a business mogul. He used his street smarts and hustling mentality to gain respect from the business elites all over. So there I was, stuck in Harford County, living a life that most kids my age dreamed of, yet I was miserable. I missed the neighborhood gossip, fights, and excitement I experienced down in Park Heights. Most importantly, I lost my train. I missed my Isha. Something had to give, and it had to give quickly. I needed out of Harford County, aka Whitesville, so I had to come up with a master plan. That was part 1. So I'm moving on for part 2. And again, if you want a copy of this book, send me an email to bookkeishastar@gmail.com and I'll send it to you. So now, Tasha, we're going on to chapter 2. A closed mouth don't get fed, and closed legs can't get hid. That is the chapter's title. 6 months passed, and I was still stuck in Harford County. Unlike Park Heights, where I was the most popular kid on the block, I was damn near invisible. I didn't have any friends, and to be honest, I wasn't looking for any. Yes, I had my sister Rochelle, but we were on 2 different planets. She was a tomboy, and I was a diva, and our personalities clashed. After months of seeing me mope around the house, my parents finally had mercy on me and allowed my Isha to start coming over on the weekends. When the summer rolled around, she practically lived with us. This worked out perfect for Maisha because she was going through her own shares of problems at home. Maisha was very pretty, just like me. Her complexion was light, a little lighter than mine. She had a round face, bright hazel eyes, and the fullest lips you would ever see on a girl. I would say Maisha is about 5'2". God, I put it on a thing. And had, I'm sorry, it had eye-catching figure. Although I was shaped a little better, she had lots of curves and a fat-ass donkey booty. Maisha's family wasn't rich, but they weren't poor. Everything I had, she had too. Her mother was a nursing assistant at a prestigious nursing home in the richest area of Baltimore, and her father was the manager for a large construction company. Maisha's mother had just found out she was pregnant 2 nights before their lives made a turn for the worse. A drunk driver hit Maisha's father's car off the road while he was driving home, killing him instantly. I didn't think Maisha ever recovered, and neither did her mother, Miss Kendra, because a couple months after her sister was born, Maisha's mother fell into a deep depression when it really kicked in that her husband was truly gone. She began drinking hard liquor daily, and when that stopped working, she started on stronger substances like cocaine and heroin. For a while, she was stealing pain medications from her job. By the time her supervisors realized she was stealing their Percocets and morphine, she had already become addicted to heroin. She lost her job and became ill, leaving her unable to perform her motherly duties. When Maisha received an eviction notice taped to her front door, she had to grow up faster than she anticipated. Her mother and baby sister became her responsibility. Deron, call Kaden and tell him to stop calling me. I'm sorry, you guys. I put it on Do Not Disturb, and it's disturbing. I'm sorry, you guys. I had to stop that. When Maisha and I had our own issues. I wanted to get back to the city, and she wanted to escape the madness that was taking place at home. The irony was, I was longing for the madness that she was running from. We knew we needed to make some moves, but we just didn't know what moves we needed to make. We were both 16 years old. Most girls our age, oh my, 1 second, y'all. Hold on. Stop calling me. Stop. I'm sorry. We were both 16 years old. Most girls our age would have tried to get permits to work for scraps all summer long. That wasn't me. We needed to come up with a better plan. One night while Maisha stayed over my house, we made a vow that we would be successful no matter what. Maisha, we have to get some money together so we can move back to the city, so I can move back to the city. When I get my place, you can come live with me, and we could take your little sister with us and put your mother in a rehab maybe. I laid down with my legs crossed, staring at the ceiling. We need some real money, not chump change, I advised her. Jamaica, how are we going to make this work? No one is going to rent us an apartment. We're too young. Plus, we have to pay rent, gas and electric, water bills, and all. And what about food? It sounds easy, but it's real out there, she continued. We can get summer jobs, or maybe we can start our own business. She sounds stupid as hell to me. I gave her my pissed off face because that's exactly what she was doing. I knew she didn't just tell me that we were going to sell door to door selling fucking Girl Scout cookies or some shit like that. Instead of blowing her off like I normally did, I tried to reason with her. Do you know what it takes to open up a business? What are we going to sell? It takes money, Maisha. Money we do not have. I'm telling you, my mother had 2 jobs, but she still had to do hard hustling to get where she is today. Only rich people can afford to work and live comfortably. If there was one thing I learned growing up, it was you had to walk a little crooked to get straight, and you got to do a little wrong to get right. I sat and broke it down to Maisha because she was naive to these streets. She kept talking about opening a business and looking up. She kept talking about opening a business, and I looked at her like, what the hell are we going to sell? The only thing that I was sure everyone wanted was me. The girls at my school wanted to be me, and the boys wanted to be with me. With that last thought, suddenly it hit me. I looked at Maisha and then back at myself. Maisha was gorgeous, and I was a dime times 2. We were young, but we certainly didn't look our age. I got it, girl. We can market 2 products that's sure to sell, Maisha and Jamaica. Maisha looked at me like I was crazy. JJ, what the hell is you talking about? Do you mean sell pussy? Girl, you know I got a man, so please don't go there. Not to mention, I got too much pride. And I laughed into Maisha's face. I had to interject before her blood pressure went sky high. Look, I got a lethal weapon concealed in these drawers. The day I let this off, Baltimore is going to shut down. I'm not talking about selling my body like a cheap whore. I'm talking about going out, finding a cow, and milking him for all he got. We need a baller with riches and ranks on the street. All we need to do is trap one stupid motherfucker. That's what my mother did. Now look how she's living. I'm not saying my father is stupid, but come on. He married her 6 months after meeting her. She had to throw some serious pussy on him. The only man I'm throwing serious pussy on is Marcus. I'm pretty sure there's other ways we can make money besides being a gold digger. You're throwing serious pussy on Marcus, but is he throwing serious cash back at you? I snapped. Before she could answer, I answered for her. No, he's not. He don't do shit for you. Basketball is the only thing that Marcus got going on for him. And it's not even promised that he's going to make it to the NBA. First of all, his grades is all fucked up and he's always getting kicked off the team. So that nigga probably only get in a community college when he graduates. I'm the one always hitting you off to pay your neighbors to watch your sister when your aunt can't. I'm the one that gives you money to get your nails and hair done. I'm the only one you can turn to when you need help, but you're hollering out that you only throwing pussy on Marcus. Girl, you might as well start throwing pussy on me because I'm doing all the boyfriend duties. As usual, Little Miss Sunshine ignored my rant and kept talking about opening up some damn business. After a long, dragged out conversation, I realized I wasn't getting anywhere. Look, Maisha, I'm not trying to be smart, but you handle your situation your way and I'll handle mine. I need real money, not chump change. And your solution aren't aligned with my needs. Let's just agree to disagree and take care of our own situation. Good night. I turned off the TV, dimmed the lights, and closed my eyes. I was on a mission. The next morning, my mother dropped us off at Towson Town Center to go shopping for some summer clothes. Knowing good and well that Maisha mother was somewhere smoking up her social security check, she hit Maisha off with a few hundreds as well. Although Maisha thought we were there to shop, I was looking for a new friend. I lied to my mother and told her that my classmate Paula was meeting us at the mall and that her mother was picking us up. I even told her that we were going to the movies after to buy some time. You two be safe and don't talk to strangers. There's some real crazy people out here. And be home by 10, she ordered. I reassured her that I'd be there by 9. I almost convinced myself. As soon as my mother pulled off, Maisha and I headed into the ladies' room to put on the clothes that I had packed the night before. That I had packed that morning while everyone was sleeping. Here, change it to this and put on some makeup, I ordered as I handed Maisha her outfit for the day. We went into the bathroom stall and tossed to get our clothes on. After we dressed, we walked out and looked at each other. We both looked extraordinary. I was sporting an ass-hugging mini skirt with a little blue tank top. Maisha changed into a pair of skinny jeans and an off-the-shoulder belly skin top. Little Miss Sunshine didn't even question why we changed our outfits. She just liked the way we looked. It wasn't uncommon for me to steal my mother's clothes and change in the school bathroom. Maisha knew all my tricks, so she paid me no mind and asked no questions about my motives today. When we stepped out of the bathroom, we transformed from teenagers to women. Everywhere we turned, boys as well as grown men were trying to holler. Typically, I ignored them, but today I stopped and took numbers, although I didn't see anyone worth my time. From noon to 4, we walked the entire mall, and I didn't see a fool with money in sight. Everyone I met was either my age, which meant they were living off their parents, or they looked old and broke as hell. I was frustrated, and Maisha was getting tired of walking. Mind you, at this time, she still was clueless to my plan. Jamaica, we've been in every store at least twice. My feet's starting to hurt. Where's your friend who's supposed to meet us? And what time does the movie start? What a cuckoo brain. Look, Maisha, there's no friend coming. I only said that so my mother wouldn't come back. I was hoping we could find a couple ballers here, but it's dry shit today. A baller, Maisha questioned. What are you talking about? Remember, I told you that we needed to find some niggas with money so that we can lock them down and make them take care of us last night. That's what this whole trip to the mall was about. There's no friend coming. What fucking friend do I have besides you? Come on, girl. Use the brain that God gave you. So you tricked me? Why would you do that? I told you I'm with Marcus and I'm not looking for another boyfriend. Maisha started to flip out, damn near causing a scene in the middle of the mall. Please shut up, Maisha. You're bugging the hell out. You're bugging the hell out. You know what? Since you're so in love with Marcus, why don't you call him and tell him to come pick you up? Oops, I forgot. He don't even own a pair of skates, much less a car. At least I got a man. If you had somebody, you wouldn't be out here looking thirsty at the mall. Bitch, please. You've been with Marcus for a year and you don't even have a friendship ring to show for it. Like I said, tell him to swing by on his skates and pick you up so you don't have to worry about getting home. Maisha's entire body tensed up as we argued back and forth. After speaking my mind, I walked off to the front entrance to call my mother. Maisha continued to argue, and I continued to ignore her. Just as I prepared to make that call, my attention was drawn to a truck heading my way. I glanced inside and saw my future baby daddy pushing a black on black Porsche truck. The dude inside was fine as hell, and I instantly became love struck. He was bumping Jay-Z's American Gangster CD, and at that moment, I knew I found my own American Gangster. I had to get his attention. Maisha was still standing there behind me ranting, but all I heard was blah, blah, blah. She was in her feelings, and I was in my feelings too. I was feeling a little something, something for Mr. Porsche. Maisha forgot my, wait, I'm sorry. Maisha, forget all that shit. I interrupted. Do you see that nigga, that fine ass boy? I know that man got money. Maisha spun around about 3 times to figure out who I was talking to. Finally, when she locked eyes on the target, she shook her head, and I knew she was going to have her own reservations about the situations, as usual. I see the truck, but that's no boy sitting inside. That's a grown ass man. He's not checking for you. A man like that wants a woman. He'd probably be more interested in your mother. Maisha bust out laughing, which fueled the fire in me to prove her wrong. Nobody doubt Jamaica Johnson's man pulling skills, especially this lame dame. Boy, man, they all the same. They all think with the same brain between their legs. I schooled her. Well, go for what you know. Maisha shook her head, still laughing at me. Go ahead and get your love connection on, baby. She could barely get her words out without laughing. I pulled my hair from the ballerina bun that it was in and made it fall to the middle of my back. I refreshed my lipstick and topped it with a pair of matte gloss to draw attention to my plump, sexy lip soup coolers. Nothing turns a man on more than seeing a sexy chick with seductive, shiny lips. It made them think about getting their dick sucked, and I didn't have a problem with being the main attraction for this nigga's fantasy. Although I was still a virgin, my little coochie had been jumping for about a year now. I heard stories from my classmate and Maisha, so I was eager to try it. Maisha reluctantly waited on the curb as I sashayed across the walkway. Oh, I was giving Mr. Porsche my America's Next Top model walk too. When he looked up and saw this ass jiggling, he damn near crashed into the car in front of him. He beeped his horn to get my attention, but I kept walking. Turning around on the first round made a girl look pressed. Finally, after his second attempt, I turned. He put his window down and motioned for me to come his way. Let me holler at you for a second, he said. I wanted to run and jump to his arm like white folks did on TV. Yet I felt the strength to keep my cool. If you think I'm worth it, you come to me, I challenged. I was young, but I was no fool. You had to lay shit down from day one so these niggas know. If you walk to a man once, he'll always expect you to keep walking to him. He smiled, showing off his pearly white teeth. When he finally stepped out, I felt like I had got myself in a tight situation. His body was ripped. I mean, Vin Diesel kind of ripped. This was no boy, all right. He was a real man. Can't believe you was just going to walk by like that with that beautiful smile, he said. You have to give me the honor of at least knowing your name. I caught a glimpse of my reflection in his rearview mirror, and my face was painted red. The boy had me blushing, and that was not an easy task. It looked like you were about to leave. Can I walk you to your car, or do you need a ride somewhere? He asked. His baritone voice stimulated my curiosity and intrigued me to get to know him better. Something told me that this man was going to change my life. Whether it was going to be for the better or worse, I didn't know. I don't see a problem with you giving me a ride. Can I at least get your name first before I jump into your truck? Right now, you're a stranger, and my mother told me to never ride with strangers, I said. He smiled, thinking that I was being flirtatious. Little did he know my mother just told me that shit a couple hours ago. I laughed to myself because the irony of it all was thrilling. My name is Deshawn, but you can call me Sean for short, he said. That's a nice name. I said, my name is Jamaica, but my friends call me JJ. With us formally introduced, it was time to roll. Deshawn opened the door for me like a gentleman. Well, hop in, pretty lady. Now that we're acquainted, I can give you that ride, and maybe I can get to know you. I'd like that, I said as I pulled my hair behind my ears to accentuate my innocence. The boy couldn't stop looking at me. I knew he was captivated, but little did he know I was captivated by him too. I sat beside him, blushing up a storm, and almost forgot about Maisha. I looked up and saw her waving her hand like a bird about to take flight. Leaving her dumbass would surely teach her a lesson. Never underestimate Jamaica Johnson. As foolish as she was acting earlier, she was still my best friend, so I couldn't just leave her stranded. Besides, if I did, her dumb ass would probably call my mother and blow up the spot. Oh, wait a second. I got so caught up in our conversation, I almost forgot about my sister. Do you mind if she rides with us? I asked. Your sister, Deshawn asked, looking around at all the girls walking in and out of the mall entrance. She's right there, across the street, the one standing next to the guy in the blue shirt. I was tempted to say, she's the asshole with the stupid look on her face. Sure, tell her to come on, Deshawn said. I gestured for Maisha, and when she came over, let me tell you, sweat was dripping down the bitch's forehead. The timid little girl looked like she was about to pee in her pants and blow my motherfucking cover. Hello, Deshawn said as Maisha sat down in the truck. Hello, she replied, sounding nervous as hell. I swear I wanted to hop over in that back seat and slap her timid ass. So where do you live, sweetheart? Oh shit, where did I live? Damn, I almost forgot I was someone's 16-year-old child. I couldn't pull up to my house in Vin Diesel's truck. I had to think quick before he became suspicious. Park Heights, I said, hoping Maisha didn't make a sound. I gave Maisha's address and sat back quietly thinking, Jamaica, how are you going to get out of this one? My parents were serious about me staying away from our old neighborhood. And here I was on my way back there. I just hope I didn't run into any of the old problems. You know, the problems that made us move away in the first place? We pulled up about 20 minutes later, and my heart pounded like steel drums in a go-go band. Maisha exited the truck, not even saying thank you for the ride. After she left, Deshawn and I sat in talking to get to know each other a little more. So, are you free tonight? I would love to take you out if you are, he asked. I just finished writing a huge research paper, so lucky for you, I am free, I said. Research paper, Deshawn replied. Are you in college? I love a cute girl with a head on her shoulder. I am. I'm a sophomore at Morgan State University, I said, lying my ass off. That's good. That's some good shit. I'm shocked you don't have a date tonight. A pretty educated woman like yourself is usually tied down already. You know what they say, the good ones are already taken. I could say the same thing about you. Are you single or do you have a girlfriend stashed somewhere? Deshawn smiled. I don't have a girlfriend, but maybe you can change that after the night. I didn't have to see my reflection to know that I was blushing. My entire body felt warm and tingly. How old are you? He asked. Oh shit. Why was he asking me this? Did I do or say something to blow my cover up? What the fuck? It's rude to ask a lady her age, especially when she doesn't know yours, I said, trying to buy myself some time. I'm not trying to be rude, sweetheart. You mentioned that you were in college. I'm just asking questions to get to know you so that I could plan our date. I don't mind telling you my age. I'm 26 years old. I'm an old head. Deshawn laughed as he put his hand over mine. 26 years old? You're not even 30 yet. I'm 19. So does that mean that I'm a young head? No, it makes you legal enough to have fun with me, Deshawn said. Wow, this man is 10 years older than I am. Who would have thought that he would actually believe I was 19 years old? I swear, when pussy is in front of a man, they become dumb, deaf, and blind. I was playing a dangerous game. But as the saying goes, scared money don't make no money. I needed to make moves, and this guy was the key. I could tell he was I could tell he had limitless potentials and could actually be what I needed to start my journey into adulthood. And that was the end of chapter 2. So I did say that I would go ahead into chapter 3. Again, if you guys want this book, you can go to book Keisha Star at gmail.com and I'll send you a free copy. So the last chapter I'm going to read is Oh, What a Tangle Web We Weave, chapter 3. After Deshaun pulled off, I went into Maisha's house trying to come up with a plan. I needed to stay out tonight with a grown man without getting caught. That was my mission. Now, all I had to do was come up with a workable plan. Maisha stood by the front door shaking her head. You're way in over your head, Jamaica. There's no way this is going to end on a good note. Well, it has to work because he's coming back to pick me up tonight for our dinner date, I explained. What? Are you crazy, Maisha screamed. Her eyes almost popped out of her head. Your parents are going to kill you when they find out. And on top of that, you made a date with a man who looks grown enough to be your damn father. Just look at all the other schemes. Just like your other schemes, this is going to blow up. Stop saying that. It could work out. I just have to think of something believable. And I'm going to need your help. I grabbed her hand. Please cover for me. I swear this could be what we need. The more I tried to convince Maisha, the more she shot my idea down. I'm telling you, Jamaica, you don't even know this man, but you're making plans to go out with him. I was in creep mode, so I honestly couldn't hear a single word Maisha was saying. The truth was, I turned her out a long time ago. Shit, her thoughts and opinions had been on the back burner since last night. Chill out and let me handle the situation, I said. You being nervous is starting to make me nervous, and I just need to have you to have my back and to cover for me. Sure thing. Just don't say that I didn't warn you, were Maisha's last words to me. From there on, I went into gangster mode just as my mother used to do when she was making her drug deals. I had to think like her so that I could get away with my plan. I sat for a long time, putting my story together, making sure that I was prepared to answer any questions. After much deliberation, I came up with something convincible. I took a deep breath and called my mother. She picked up the phone, laughing at a joke my father was telling her in the background. I was relieved that they were both in good moods. As soon as she answered, I gave her no time to ask questions. Mommy, Maisha really need me to stay with her tonight. I promise I'll stay inside the house the entire time, I pleaded. Wait a minute. Why is Maisha's home number coming up on my caller ID? It seems you're already at Maisha's house, she sternly replied. She was pissed off already. Well, Paula's mother is still outside. She said it would be easier for her to drop Maisha home first, since she has something to pick up on this side of town. I came in to say hi to Miss Kendra, and she was very sick. Maisha's depressed and crying, so I didn't want to leave her alone. I would take her back with me, but she has to babysit her little sister. There was a period of silence. I didn't know what that meant, because silence could be deadly with a Jamaican woman. I swear, I wouldn't be asking if Maisha wasn't hurting so bad, I added. Maisha's crying, my mother asked. I guess it is stressful for a young woman to see her mother suffering like that. She paused for another second. Okay, you can spend the night, but make sure you sleep with your pocketbook glued to your hands. Matter of fact, sleep with it under your pillow because Kendra will clean you out. Take your diamonds out of your ears, wrap them up in a tissue, and stuff them in your bra. I will, Mommy, I answered. I love you, bye. Okay, and Jamaica, we will talk about this later. You should have called me before going up to Park Heights. This conversation isn't over by a long shot, okay? Yes, Mommy, I understand. I know that I was wrong. I apologize. Okay, good. I love you. Call me if you need me. The second my mother hung that phone up, my ass was in Maisha's closet trying to put a nice outfit together. I bought clothes from the mall earlier, so it was just a matter of finding the right accessories and handbag to bring out my look. I purchased a black knee pencil fitted dress with leather sleeves that hugged my body tightly. There was almost no room for me to breathe. I borrowed a black and gold clutch, black pumps, and some gold accessories that matched my dress perfectly. The hookup was sexy as hell. I spiral curled my hair and Maisha beat my face to the gods. My nails and toes were already polished, so it took no time for me to transform into a supermodel mode. Deshaun arrived at 8 o'clock p.m. and was driving a money green BMW. I almost didn't realize it was him pulling up. The nigga was a baller without a basketball, and I couldn't wait to trap his ass. He looked dapper in a pair of True Religion jeans, white t-shirt, and a gray Burberry cardigan. His look was clean cut and neat, which was totally different from the oversized clothes that the boys at my school wore. Deshaun opened the door again for me like a true gentleman. As I switched my fat ass past him and stepped into the car, I caught a glimpse of him eyeing me down like I was a tender piece of prime porterhouse steak. You look amazing, he said. Thank you, I smiled, revealing my beautiful dimples. Deshaun kept looking over at me, showering me with compliments the entire ride. I kept blushing and accepting them. I really mean it, baby. You look stunning. You looking fine yourself, I said. I love what you're wearing, and your cologne smells delicious. I had to throw in a compliment too, because if there's one thing I knew, it was that men love to feel just as important as women. So, is this your car too? I asked. Yeah, this is my ride, baby. I don't drive other people's shit. If I don't own it, it's not for me, he answered. We cruised down Interstate 83 South towards downtown Baltimore, where majority of the main attractions were located. Sit back and relax, Ma. We're going to have an amazing night. I love the man who took control, and Deshaun was doing just that. It felt good to be an adult, even for one night, and had no rules. All I had to do was sit back and relax and allow Deshaun. I had no rules. All I had to do was sit back and relax as Deshaun ordered. The rest of the night was like magic. Deshaun took me to a restaurant in Little Italy called Moe's. As soon as we walked in, the hostess greeted us and asked Deshaun did he wanted to be seated in his special section. He told her yes, and she took us upstairs to a secluded section of the restaurant. He ordered a bottle of champagne as we sat by candlelight, getting to know each other. The waitress didn't even bother to ask me for an ID, and it was obvious that Deshaun had pulled up in there. Do you have any kids? Deshaun asked as he took a sip of his champagne. Kids? I'm only 19. What I look like having kids? I replied, rolling my eyes at the thought of being somebody's mother. Hell, I'm still a kid myself, I was thinking to myself. You act like that's a weird question. It's girls that's barely in their teens with 2 or 3 kids. Well, I'm not one of them. I'm focused on my education, I said. What are you studying in college? I'm majoring in business management. I hope to open a chain of successful boutiques one day. I can see you doing that. I may even invest in your boutique if your proposal makes sense, he said as he chuckled. Oh, I have to come up with a presentation and proposal to get you to invest in me, I asked. You damn right, he said as we both bust out laughing. So, you asked me did I have any kids, but do you have any kids? Nah, I don't have any kids, but I wouldn't mind having a few little soldiers running around the house later down the road. Well, I want a little diva to follow in her mother's footsteps and take over my businesses when I retire, I said. A little diva is going to need a few soldiers around to protect her. I'm just saying, Deshaun said as he smiled and shrugged his shoulders. I smiled back, thinking how cute it was that he was joking about having a family with me. Our meal was finger-licking good and our conversation was stimulating, even for a young teenager like myself. I tried my best not to act my age, especially when the buzz from the champagne kicked in. God knows I never drunk before in my life, so my tolerance level was low. However, even though I was a little tipsy, I was able to keep up with our conversation. For us to be 10 years apart, I was able to carry on this adult conversation with him. I was always mature for my age, and tonight it was paying off. I heard of fairy tales with such sceneries, but never in a million years did I think I'd be sitting here whining and dining with a real man. Last night, I was constructing a plan in my head, and tonight I'm actually living it out. After dinner, Deshaun and I drove around, not going anywhere in particular. We just cruised the town and continued to get to know each other. Why are you single? I asked, catching him totally off guard. Why am I single? He repeated. That's an interesting question. I'm probably single for the same reason that you are. And what might that be? I said. People not meeting my expectations. I have high standards, so I expect a woman that's going to be with me to set her bars high too. Baltimore females either fuck too many niggas or they want to be niggas. And what about the men out here? I said, jumping in defense mode. Most are pill popping wannabe hustlers, and the decent ones are on the down low. I snapped my fingers 3 times like the true queens did. Deshaun bust out laughing. Well, there you have it. Like I said, we're both single for the same reason. I started to laugh. Besides, most females can't handle my lifestyle. It takes a special woman to deal with a man like me and to keep me intrigued. Oh, yeah? So, how am I doing so far? I asked. Am I keeping you intrigued? You wouldn't be here if you wasn't, he said, as he hit as he bit his sexy bottom lip. I didn't know if the man was running game or if he was serious. All I know was I wanted him, and I wasn't ending the date without having him. Living in Deshaun world for the night was fun. He took me to parts of Baltimore I've never knew existed. My parents would have died if they found out I went to half of these places. Every stop we made, Deshaun got out the car, came back with knots of money, and asked me to count it out for him. I didn't have to ask what he did because it was obvious. Hell, I've seen this scenario played out before by my parents, so I knew exactly what was up. I was drawn to this world as if I belonged there all my life. I licked my fingertips and flipped through those dollar bills back and started counting it out, the stacks for him. I was too pumped because my man was in charge. Well, at least he was going to be my man by the end of the night. Around midnight, we began to wind down and mellow out. Are you getting tired? Deshaun asked. I guess he seen that I was exhausted as hell after I started yawning. Yeah, I told him, I'm tired. Okay, let me get you home. As Deshaun jumped on 83 towards the Beltway, I knew, I'm sorry, as Deshaun jumped on 83 north towards the Beltway, I knew we were not headed for Maisha's house. In fact, we were heading towards I-95 New York. Excuse me, where are we going? Did he think I wouldn't notice that that he took a little detour? We're going home. My home. You're not afraid to spend the night with me, are you? My mind told me no, but my body, particularly the lower parts, was telling me it's only one night. What's the harm? Deshaun put his hand firmly on my legs and massaged my inner thighs, looking back and forth from the road to my eyes. My pussy began to clench instantly. A part of me was scared as hell, but as far as I was concerned, there was no turning back. Oh, it's not a problem, I assured him. I just wasn't aware that we were going back to your place. You should have told me about your plans. I didn't pack anything to sleep in. That was what I said, but inside I was thinking, oh my goodness, I didn't expect this to be happening so soon. You don't have to worry about that. You can put on one of my t-shirts when we get to the house, he suggested with a smile. How nice of you to share your shirt with me, I joked, as I sat back, closed my eyes, and daydreamed about what the night had in store. We drove so long I couldn't tell what exit Deshaun took. I had fallen asleep when out of nowhere he shook my legs softly and began walking. He shook my legs before walking to my side of the car and opening the door. I stepped out of the car and was taken aback. His house was just as big as my parents'. Not only did I see the Porsche truck he was driving earlier, but I also saw a chromed out Maserati parked beside it. I walked into the house and was even more impressed. Deshaun's house was eloquently decorated and lavish. The living room was spacious with large, tall ceilings and an enormous gold crystal chandelier centered in the middle of the room. The tri-wood and gold classic Italian-style leather sofas accentuated the long silk gold curtains that hung from the king-size triple-paned window. I immediately took my shoes off because God knows I would die if I scuffled his beautiful chocolate-colored hardwood floor that looked like it was never stepped on a day before. Deshaun gave me a quick tour of the house and showed me where everything was located. I felt overwhelmed by just being there with him. As Maisha pointed out, Deshaun was no man, all right. Deshaun was no boy, all right. He was a man. Speaking of Maisha, I had to call to check in and make her know that everything was going smoothly on my end. I knew she would be expecting me to be home, and I didn't want her calling my parents when she woke up and didn't see me there. I called and told her I wasn't coming home, and little Miss Sunshine went off again. Jamaica, you just met this man. Look, I'll be there in the morning, okay? I can't talk long because he's in the next room. I'll talk to you. I'll text you every hour on an hour if that makes you feel better. I sure hope you know what you're doing. You're always acting on impulse, and one day it's going to catch up with you, Maisha warned. I know, but I can assure you that I'm safe. I'll be just fine. Just hold me down if my parents call your house for any reasons. Before hanging up with Maisha, she gave me the be careful speech and explained that Deshaun could be a rapist, serial killer, or a bunch of other crap. I understood her concerns, but they weren't sufficient enough to make me change my mind. The danger excited the hell out of me. Finally, after Maisha said her piece, she hung up and I went back into grind mode. Deshaun came back into the bedroom, walked into the master bathroom, and turned on the shower. I should have, wait, I'm sorry. I should have had sex a long time ago because everything he did sent shivers up my spine. The sound of the pouring water turned me on like crazy. With every drop that fell from the shower, I had my own little drops in the center of my panties as I laid down on his bed contemplating about what was about to go down. He walked back into the room, picked up a remote control, pressed one button, and a TV came scrolling from the ceiling. I tried to act like it was normal for a TV to pop out of a ceiling, for the TV to pop out like that, because I didn't want to see press, but I mean, the nigga had a fucking TV popping out of his ceiling. Deshaun handed me the remote. I'm going to shower. Make yourself at home. Thank you. When you're done, I think I might do the same, I replied. Deshaun walked over to his drawer and took out a white beater and a pair of his boxers. He then walked to the hallway to his linen closet, grabbed a washcloth and bath towel before heading back into the room and handed them to me. There's another bathroom down the hall. Go ahead and help yourself. I thanked him, walked into the bathroom, and set up my own shower. My little head was on cloud nine. I felt like a woman, and there was nowhere how I was ever going back to be treated like a child. If he allowed me to, I will run away from home and live here with him forever. I will cook, clean, and do all my womanly duties just to live here and not have to follow my parents' rules ever again. I stepped into the shower, and the warm water hit my body, causing a shivering sensation to run through me. Now, this was bizarre because I took many showers in my life, but this one seemed unbelievable. Thunderbolts flooded my love button and drove my hormone into overdrive. I looked down at my tender breasts and saw that my nipples were hard. The more I squeezed them, the more aroused they became. I explored every part of me, and every part yearned for Deshaun. I could not stand it anymore. With fire in my eyes and sex on my mind, I stepped out the shower, naked as the day I was born, and walked back into Deshaun's bedroom. I was going to fuck the shit out of him. I had never even French kissed, yet I knew I was going to suck this nigga dick until the center of his Tootsie Roll popped. Deshaun was still in the shower when I opened the bathroom door and walked inside. The image of his bare body standing behind the glass shower made my natural juices seep out of me like a hand-squeezed Florida orange. I was like, it was like, I'm sorry, it was like I turned into some kind of animal that had to have him, and no one was going to stop me. I opened the shower door and stepped inside. Deshaun looked at me with a stunned expression. I didn't say a word. I walked underneath the steaming water and began rubbing soap all over me. I closed my eyes as I caressed myself from head to toe. Deshaun's big cock arose before my eyes. It was long and thick like a sugar cane, and damn it, I had a sweet tooth. I got down. I'm sorry, my brother's in here. He looked uncomfortable. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, Deroy. I got down on my knees, and without hesitation, I opened my wet mouth and thrust my tongue around Deshaun's flesh, nearly swallowing him whole. The way he moaned and slowly ground his body into my face while using the towel walls and shower handles to stabilize himself only made me propel his cock further down my throat. I wanted to suck the life out of him. I wrapped my hands around his thick dick and jerked his flesh back and forth while moving my lips in every direction possible. The whole thing couldn't fit in my mouth. Nonetheless, I sucked and sucked until tears rolled down my cheeks. Oh, shit, suck this dick. He cried in ecstasy while I was pleasured. He cried in ecstasy. His cries were pleasing to me, so much that I left his manhood and sucked his tender love balls. I slurped from warm ball to his dick. I deep throated him like crazy. He grabbed a handful of my hair, threw my head against the tiled wall. You wanna, you wanna fuck? Wait, I'm sorry. You want me to fuck your mouth, don't you? I softly whispered, "Yes, Daddy," as I stared into his eyes and nodded to assure him that I indeed said yes. You want this nut to squirt all over that pretty face of yours? All right, here it goes. Ugh. Deshaun tightly closed his eyes and let out a loud moan. The nigga damn near was on his tippy toes with his dick standing over my face. I closed my eyes, opened my mouth, and the next thing I felt was my mouth being filled with Deshaun's cream. It was warm and tasty. When he was done, I licked my lips. That was delicious. I was so proud of myself. My first time giving head, and I made the volcano erupt. I thought Deshaun would have been worn out. At least that's what I was told. Maisha told me after Marcus bust a good one, he was barely able to talk straight. To my surprise, she was dead wrong. Deshaun picked me up and carried me into his bedroom and laid me on his bed. I seductively opened my legs as wide as I could and welcomed him to lay down between them. Deshaun climbed on top of me, pulled my body down towards him. You want to play rough, huh? I got something for your pretty ass. He began kissing all over my body. He licked from my earlobe to my cheeks to my lips. He licked from my lips to my chin to my neck. His tongue traveled from my neck to my breast. He sucked on my right nipple and swirled his tongue around my chest to my left nipples. He plunged my breasts together and sucked them at the same time, then licked straight down to my navel. Nothing on earth ever felt this fucking good to me. When I felt his long, thick, wet tongue travel from my navel to the peak of my juicy pussy, I almost lost my fucking mind. Deshaun swirled his tongue down the center of my fat pussy and began caressing my clitoris with his tongue. From that point, I could not refrain from screaming. I swear, I nearly broke this nigga neck off when he inserted his tongue in and out of my opening. I was new to this. Nevertheless, I rolled his face like I was in a derby. I grabbed his head and pushed his tongue deeper inside of me, crying, screaming, and begging for more. Baby, don't stop. I'm about to come, I shouted in ecstasy. Just when I felt an explosion of juices rushing through my tunnel of love, Deshaun lifted his head, plunged his big dick inside of my tight pussy, and began knocking down every inch of my innocence. I was in pain, yet I didn't want to stop him. I cringed every time he moved. My pussy was too inexperienced for this kind of work. I had to come clean and tell him that he was my first or he was going to kill me. Deshaun, wait, I have to tell you something. This is my first time. I've never been with anyone before, so please take your time. It was like I was talking to a brick wall. Deshaun banged and plunged his dick inside my pussy. Finally, after repeating myself 2 or 3 more times, he stopped and said, "Look, shorty, you don't have to lie to me. I won't think any less of you. We're 2 grown adults doing grown things. I know this pussy is tight and all, but virgins don't do what you just did to me in the bathroom." There was no convincing him. If I wanted to be an adult, and if I wanted to be in this adult world, I had to adapt to adult things. So I took the D like a G until Deshaun climaxed for the second time. He collapsed on top of me. After laying for roughly a minute, Deshaun got up and began rolling a blunt. I walked over and wrapped my arms around him. He smiled at me and kissed my stomach. You would have thought we was together for years and was madly in love the way we were acting. "What's up, baby? Are you hungry?" he asked. "No, I'm not, but I have something to tell you. I want to talk to you about," I nervously stated. The truth was, I didn't know how he was going to handle the news about me only being 16, but he needed to know. I wanted him to be my man, but I couldn't start this relationship with lies. "What's up?" "Look, when we met earlier, I was really feeling you and I wanted to get to know you better. So I bet the truth a little." Deshaun laughed. "What? Are you a man or something? If you are, please keep that shit to yourself, because if you tell me that, I'll have to kill you." He continued to laugh as he sparked the blunt and took a draw. "Please be serious for a minute. Like I said before, I like you, and I know that if you knew that I was only 16, you would have. Deshaun's attention quickly shifted from his blunt to me. What? You're how old? He asked, with rage in his eyes. He snapped before I could respond. Look, bitch, I just met you. So don't play these type of games with me. I'm a serious man, and I don't play around like that. The look in his eyes told me I was in trouble. I wish I could have disappeared and went home. I began crying hysterically, and at that point, my true age came shining through. I'm sorry. I tried to tell you that I was a virgin, but you didn't believe me. You didn't try to tell me shit. You told me you were 19. You came in here, sucked and fucked me like a motherfucking woman. Then you lay this type of shit on me, Deshaun screamed. His deep, rigid voice scared the hell out of me. All I could do was cry. He jumped up and pulled a suitcase from under his belt. I thought he was getting a gun. I screamed, no, repeatedly, but he kept ignoring me. I backed up towards the door so that I could run out. However, when he opened the suitcase, I saw that it was only filled with money. Deshaun counted out a bundle and handed me $5,000. Here, take this and keep it moving, shorty. I don't ever want to see you again. Don't call my phone. As a matter of fact, I'm changing my number. Just put your shit on and let me get you home. As I dressed, I was thinking, $5,000 was a lot of money, especially if you were as young as me. It was like winning $1 million. Any other chick would have jumped at that opportunity for a quick come up, but not me. Maybe it was because he treated me so good or because he was my first. I didn't know, but I was weak for Deshaun already. I don't want your money. Just please take me home. You don't have to worry about me. I won't tell anyone about tonight. I won't bring drama your way. Yo, take the money and keep it moving, Jamaica. Or is that even your fucking name? Deshaun asked while looking at me sideways. I'm sure it's a gas station. I'm sure it's a gas station somewhere around here. You don't even have to take me home. I'll find the nearest one and call a cab. I replied as I shamefully made my way out of the room where we had just made steaming love. Where we had just made steamy love. I backed down on the way out and pretended to fix my shoes. When Deshaun wasn't looking, I threw the money to the side of the sofa. I wasn't about to take some hush money from a nigga who just fucked me. If he wanted me gone, I was gone. All that other extra shit was irrelevant. I left Deshaun's house feeling like a damn fool. I played myself big time. I should have kept my mouth closed and fucked him until he caught major feelings for me. That way, by the time he found out my real age, he would have been too pussy whipped to leave. After walking 15 minutes, I found a Crown's gas station about 3 blocks up. I went inside, grabbed a bottle of water, and called a cab. They said my driver would be there in 10 minutes. However, 30 minutes later, I was still waiting. It was a long night for me, and I was exhausted. I sat on the curved side of the gas station and rested my head against the wall for about a minute before I floated into dreamland. Just when Mr. Sandman decided to send me a dream, I was startled by a male voice. Damn, you're just full of surprises, huh? I awakened to see Deshaun sitting in his car staring at me. First, I find out you're 16, and now I find you sleeping outside. I quickly sat up, fixed my hair. Wow, I had a long night. Unfortunately for me, it ended before I could get any sleep, so here I am, sleeping outside, I sarcastically replied. Deshaun reached under the driver's seat, pulled out the money that he had given me. Why did you take the money? Because it's not about the money, I replied, barely able to look at him. Then what is it about, Jamaica, he asked. You tell me. You told me to stay away from you. You said to never call you again, but here you are down the street with me. Why did you come after me? Deshaun wasn't prepared to answer that question. He just sat there in silence. So I answered for him. You're here because you like me. You know we can make this work, but I won't force you. Do you think it's that easy? A nigga could face jail time fucking around with you. You lied, and that could come back to haunt me one day. I won't allow that to happen, I promise. This is too much. I'm not looking for a girlfriend right now. I was just looking to have a little fun and kick it with a cool-ass chick. That's it. We can make this work if you're open-minded about the situation, I assured him. Just give me a chance. Deshaun let out a loud sigh and stared at me from his car. Deshaun let out a loud sigh and stared as I got into his car. We sat and had a real serious ass conversation until the sun came up. You can never, and I mean never, tell anyone about the relationship. I'm going to jail if anyone finds out about this. Do you understand me? I'm getting slapped with rape charges, and I have too much going on to have to deal with that type of shit and that type of heat. Deshaun firmly stated as he stared me down. This is not a fucking game. So from here on, all the games that you play have to stop. You can lie to everyone else, but not me. I will not keep any secrets from you from this point on, I assured him. All I'm asking is for a chance. That's all. I'm going to give you that chance, but you have to follow my lead. There's going to be a time when you want to be with me, but can't. You have to be mature enough to handle that. There's going to be times when you're tempted to tell people about us. You have to fight that temptation. If you're ever confronted by your parents or the police and they ask about me, exercise your right to remain motherfucking silent. You have to put your big girl panties on, Jamaica. Do you think you can handle this situation? I don't think so. I know so, I said as I reached over and turned his face towards mine. We can make this work. I promise you, you would never regret this. I don't want to hurt you. I'm trying to get to know you and hopefully fall in love with you so that we can make them little soldiers and divas that we talked about earlier. We both laughed and stared into each other's eyes for a short while, processing our own inner thoughts. I'm serious, Jamaica. Don't let me regret this, especially since I was initially lied to and involuntarily put into this situation. I promise you, you have nothing to worry about. I will never bring trouble your way or to your front door, I said. Finally, at the end of our conversation, Deshaun decided to give me a chance. He laid down a laundry list of rules and I agreed to follow them. It wasn't easy, but I got my man just as I planned. From that night, our relationship blossomed into something special. And now we are madly in love. Deshaun kept me in place, and to be honest, my parents should thank him. He made sure that I stayed in school, got good grades, and he made sure that I stayed in school and got good grades. Even when I wanted to ditch to be with him, he declined and told me that if I failed even one class, our relationship would be put on hold until I got back on track. I got straight A's after that morning. Life couldn't have gotten any better for me. I had my man, and I was ready to take on the world. As the song said, I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're together. Yes, I was already good by myself, but Deshaun just made me better. And that's the end of chapter 3. So I'm going to end it on that note. This book is available for free. I'm giving it away right now. All you have to do is email book Keisha Starr, that's spelled KEISHASTARR @gmail.com. Book Keisha Starr @gmail.com, and I will send you a free copy of this book. Part 2, however, is dropping on January the 9th. That's next Saturday. I'm having a virtual book release, and it will be hosted by New York's best-selling author and queen of erotica, Zane, as well as Essence best-selling author and queen of Christian fiction, who just had her book picked up by Tyler Perry and is about to be on Lifetime. Victoria Christopher Murray, she's also my mentor. This is going to be a fun book release. If you know anything about my personality, you know it's going to be fun. That's going to be hosted from my Facebook page @Keisha Starr. So please follow me. Be sure to follow me right here on Clubhouse. You can also follow my fan page, Keisha Starr fan page, which is on Facebook. I'm @Keisha Starr on Twitter and Instagram. And you know my email. Oh, also, please go to my website, extraordinary.com. It's extraordinary.com, where you're able to buy books. If you need book writing and publishing consultations, I do that. I'm also an expressive writing facilitator. So if you going through any traumatic situations and you want to just engage in some expressive writing, or you had an interesting life story that you want to tell, I'll help you write that. We can do that. Songwriter, publisher, blogger. You can get everything. I have an online course that will be launching spring of this year, 2021, which is it's called Write for My Soul. And again, it teaches the therapeutic benefits of expressive writing, and I'll give step-by-step instructions on how to write and self-publish your book, and I'll walk you through all those steps. Thank you guys. This was my first time. I was a little nervous, but I thank you all. If you want to speak or let me know, you can contact me. I'll be on. Thank you, Tasha.
Keisha, you had Takia jump on the stage. Takia, did you have a question for Keisha?
Hey, Takia.
I had my phone down. I was trying to take down the information. I think you gave a website and the email address, but I couldn't.
I'm sorry. Yes. No, the website is Extraordinary, EXSTARDINARY.com. That's the name of my business and publishing company. And the email address is book Keisha Starr, BOOKKEISHASTARR@gmail.com. Again, if you want a free copy of part 1, I'm giving it away for free. Part 2 drops on the 9th. Come through. We're going to have fun. So you guys can officially meet Tasha. Tasha is my PR. So you guys officially meet Tasha. You're going to see that face. And I just look forward to this journey. Thank you guys. I'm learning. And this is my first time really hosting a group on it. So thank you all. If anyone have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. If not, you can also just send me an inbox or DM me on any of my social media pages. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Good night. Thank you so much, Tasha. I'm going to call you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hey, Facebook. How about... So my brother, come look at Deron. My brother looks very disturbed because I think he heard some sexual parts from his sister. I don't know how he thought Kaden and Kyron get here. You didn't think I was having sex? Nah. You didn't think I slurped on some tender balls? I'm just... Well, you look very disturbed over there. Hold on. It is on. You didn't know this whole time? This is live on Facebook. Go look. This boy don't think it's on. Come say hi, Devon. It says live, an hour and 22. Look. Are you traumatized? My little brother traumatized y'all. Here's the books. I better see all of you guys next Saturday at 7 p.m. because we are going to act out. We are going to broke codes to blood clots. Y'all go see Jamaica in rare form, and we're going to have fun. No, but all jokes aside, thank you all for staying tuned in with me. I can't see none of your comments. I won't be able to see it and answer it until I come to Facebook. I'm learning how to use this thing that I'm streaming from because I wanted you guys to be able to see it. But you see everything scrolling down at the bottom. I hope you guys were able to see the email and send your email. I'm about to go check my email address and everything, but I truly love you guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.